But flying taxis now because they are coming to Abu Dhabi. Nikhil Goel is one of the people making it happen. He's the Chief Commercial Officer of Archer Aviation, and he joins us now live. Morning, Nikhil.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So, Archer Aviation, flying taxis coming to Abu Dhabi this summer. Is this science fiction or science fact?
Well, we're turning science fiction into science fact. You know, I've been in this industry for over 10 years. The technology is finally here to bring flying cars to the world. And you will see Archer Aviation bring this technology to the UAE as soon as this year.
Okay, fine. So let's get a bit of context on this. Archer Aviation, one of the big global companies, well, medium-sized global companies involved in what I'm going to call flying taxis. You'll use a different phrase. You've done a deal with Abu Dhabi some time ago, and this is getting closer. So tell us a little bit about Archer Aviation and where we stand with the development of the taxis and the heliports in Abu Dhabi.
That's right. So Archer is making all-electric flying taxis. What that means is it is a quieter, cheaper, safer alternative to helicopters. So you might be on your commute this morning. You could fly from Dubai to Abu Dhabi in just 22 minutes for the same price as a taxi. So say somewhere around 800 dirhams. That's the sort of technology that we are commercializing into the world, and we hope to bring to Abu Dhabi as soon as this year.
So the Midnight is your flying taxi, the launch edition of the Midnight. And there were statements about this last week, and your share price in New York went through the roof, which is, I'm sure, great news for you guys. Paint a picture of the Midnight for me.
That's right. So the Midnight, it looks sort of like a plane crossed with a drone, crossed with a helicopter. And so you can take off vertically just like a helicopter. So you could take off from the Corniche in Abu Dhabi or say the Palm Jumeirah in Dubai. And then once the aircraft takes off, once Midnight takes off, the propellers in the front tilt forward, and then you fly just like an airplane. So you can imagine taking off from Palm Jumeirah in Dubai and then gently flying along the coastline of the UAE, landing at the Corniche 25 minutes later, and then again landing vertically just like a helicopter and going into work.
So we've got a big event in Abu Dhabi this week, Make It in the Emirates. Looking on your LinkedIn just a few hours ago, you were very excited about this. You're going to have a stand there. But I think of Make It in the Emirates of things that are made here in the Emirates. But Archer is listed on the New York Stock Exchange. I don't get the sense that these Midnight super taxis are actually made here. Talk me through that.
That's right. But, you know, we are launching here. And so we work all over the world. We work with big airlines like United Airlines and Indigo and Japan Airlines. And we had a choice of where we wanted to launch. We chose to launch right here in the UAE because His Highness and the leadership here in the country is so forward-leaning. They came to us and said, hey, we want to bring this flying taxi technology here first in the world. And the government has been so supportive. The partners here have been so supportive. We chose to launch here in Abu Dhabi, and this technology and the reality will be truly made here in the Emirates.
Lots of questions coming in on this. Abdulaziz writes in very, very succinctly, is it safe?
It is absolutely safe. In fact, it's one of the safest ways to get from A to B. And so if you look at it today, you know, flying is already the safest way to travel from point to point. And this will be equally as safe as flying on Emirates or Etihad. And that's because we have 12 propellers. And what that means is if one or two or three of them were to go out, you can still safely continue flying. You as a passenger would never know the difference.
And each will have its own battery.
Absolutely. There's 6 batteries built directly into the wings. And so you have absolute resiliency for your flight.
So Abu Dhabi is your launch customer, but you're talking with other what you call early adopters. The Olympics in Los Angeles is one of them. New York City is looking at this for flights between airports. Ethiopia as well. Who else is nibbling?
Absolutely. So just last week, we announced an exclusive deal with the Olympics in Los Angeles. Just the week prior, we announced our plans to launch in New York City, which, as you know, is one of the most congested cities in the world. Outside of that, we've talked about launching in Tokyo with Japan Airlines, in places like New Delhi with Indigo Airlines, Ethiopia with Ethiopian Airways, and many other cities all over the world.
And can we talk about the competitive landscape within this space? You started the interview by saying, I've been in this industry for 10 years, and you have, looking at your LinkedIn profile. You started your career at NASA, and you've spent 5 years with Uber on their aviation play. And I noticed that the Uber sold its helicopter business or aviation business to Joby within the past few months or so. And of course, that's the company, Joby, that's doing flying taxis in Dubai. So characterize the competitive landscape here between the two or three players who are gunning for this, including, of course, yourselves at Archer.
Well, look, there are dozens of companies all over the world that are working on this technology, which is incredibly exciting and something I feel passionately about. At Archer, we've been able to raise nearly $3 billion over the last several years. And we're going to use all of that money to build the technology and launch it safely here in the UAE, which is something that the team is heads down focused on. And
can you turn a profit at 800 dirhams to fly from Abu Dhabi to Dubai in 20 minutes? Again, noted on your LinkedIn profile, your degree was in engineering and economics, and you've got to make both of those work, haven't you? The models work at 800 dirhams a pop?
That's certainly the plan. Goal number one is to make it accessible. We don't want this to be a rich person's toy or just for the VVIPs. We want anyone who takes an Uber or a taxi today to be able to pull open their Archer app, push a button, and get a flight. And if we do that at scale, I think that will be a success for us, and most importantly, a success for the people of the UAE.
Scale is interesting, and scale is clearly what you or any business like this needs. But air traffic control, once the industry gets to scale, and it's not just you, but it's others. You said there are dozens of companies in this, with these flying taxis, as I would call them, zooming around Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah. How do we manage air traffic control when it does get to scale?
Well, look, that's why we have to work with the best partners in the world. So we're working with Etihad to recruit and train our pilots. We're working with Abu Dhabi Aviation, who's going to be the operator of these aircraft. Abu Dhabi Aviation has been operating here in the Emirates for tens of years safely through our airspace. And then, of course, we're working very closely with the GCAA to make sure that our taxis are regulated, safe, and efficient.
Finally, a quick word on artificial intelligence. You're working with the guys at Palantir on AI. What's the role of AI in all of this? It's a buzzword. We all like an AI angle. It's why I'm asking you about it, Nikhil. But realistically, what value does it add to your business?
Well, it's exactly what you just said. If we do our jobs right, you're going to have 10 times the number of aircraft in our skies. And in order to manage all of that traffic safely and efficiently and affordably, you're going to need software, which is the underlying layer that controls all of the aircraft in the sky and makes sure everything is safe and smooth.
Nikhil, great talking to you. Appreciate your time this morning. That's the thoughts of Nikhil Goel. He's the CCO of Archer Aviation. They are launching flying taxis in Abu Dhabi, going to deliver their first one this summer. And they're at the big Make It in the Emirates event today in Abu Dhabi.